Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Why don't you sing?
It's official, guys! Mag-uumpisa na ang aking first time vlog. So, may nag-text. Hindi naman siguro. Okay. So, it's Emily. And I hope magustuhan niyo tong vlog ko and hope mag-continue siya. So, basically, I am from Cebu, Philippines. I moved to Dubai. And now, I'm currently in Sydney, Australia. Wala naman talaga akong talent mag-vlog. Pero, nag-try ko lang. Malay nyo, baka makitaan tayo ng talent. At medyo gusto ko rin lang may makausap. Kasi, since I moved here in Australia, wala akong masyadong mga circle of friends kasi I'm far from the Filipino community. And I used to have friends back in the university when I was doing my MBA here in Australia. Unfortunately, dalawa lang yung nakilala kong Pilipino. Tapos, nung natapos na din yung university, may sarili siyang buhay, may sarili akong buhay. Nag-uusap kami from time to time to check on the visa applications and stuff because we do our own visa. We apply for our own visa. We didn't use an agency. So, yun lang. But, wala na akong masyadong outing kasi since nag-end yung university, nag-change na yung visa status and all, nagkatrabaho, nag-COVID, nag-lockdown, on and off. So, wala masyadong ganap. So, I just decided na maybe I can do something by making use of my free time to actually do something or share some thoughts of working overseas, maybe sharing my experience. And also kasi marami akong nakikita kasi ako dati gusto ko talaga mag-abroad. So, and I'm pretty sure everyone back in the Philippines, marami silang mga questions about how to move overseas, paano gawin, paano yung application, paano ang mga documents na prepare. But I want you to share my story. Probably it wouldn't be as much detailed kasi syempre kung ano lang yung maalala ko, but I wanted to share with you on my journey on how I chase my dreams. So, help me please welcome everyone on my first vlog. So, as I said, my name is Emily and I'm from Cebu. So, nag-aral po ako sa University of San Carlos. Graduate ako ng 2007. Bachelor's degree in business administration. At that very time, 2007, the booming industry back in the Philippines is actually a call center. So that was the very first job that I had. So working graveyard, straight from the university, I went to work on a call center. Kasi sa lahat ng pinuntahan kong interviews and applications is actually call center ang pinakamalaki ang offer, at alam nyo yan. And probably even up until now, unless you work for government office at may license kayo ng civil service, kagaya ng kapatid ko, the best paying job is actually call center if you work in the private sector. So, nag-work ako ng call center for 4.5 years maybe, from 2007 to 2011, sorry. Tapos, nagiging night shift. Night shift kasi yung call center. So, may change of shift from time to time. So, there would be days that I start from 10 to 6, 11 to 7, 12 to 8, and then 3 to 12, 3 a.m. to 12. So, medyo very stressful siya, especially when you change. And then, I tell you, the KPIs or the key performance indicators sa call center, sometimes very stressful. If not, most of the time is very stressful. Kasi, you sign for a customer service role, but when you get in there are performance indicators na average handling time, and then dagdagan pa ng sales. Tapos pag nagreklamo yung customer, kahit hindi ikaw yung hindi ikaw yung unang nakausap, galit siya dun sa una, pero ikaw yung nag-resolve. Minsan kahit ikaw pa yung nag-resolve, yung customer satisfaction mo bumababa kasi galit siya dun sa una. Parang yung ganon. So, you don't have a choice. You have to work in a call center. That was the best paying job at that time, back in 2007. So, I was there for 4 years, and I must say, I did pretty good. Pero, because of the graveyard shifts, nagkakasakit ako in the 4th year that I was working there. So, I started to hate my job. I started to drag myself to work. And that's actually one of the signs na parang I started looking for something different. So, after 4 years, nag-start ako mag-apply ng day job. And then always, pag tinatanong ako, bakit ka nag-move to, from a graveyard shift to a day job? Tapos sasabihin ko na I wanted to like normal working hours, like opportunity to growth and something like that. But unfortunately, because iniisip siguro ng HR na will this person or if this person becomes an employee, magiging matagal ba siyang mag-work sa company? Kasi una, salary-wise, working in a morning shift would be a lot less paid compared to the pay that you are getting in a call center. Kumbaga, nung nag-umpisa ako sa call center, I started with 19,500 basic plus night differential plus sales commission and stuff. So in a bi-weekly, I get around 10,000 bi-weekly. But pag nagtrabaho ka sa day job or something, 10,000 is actually a clear only. Wala na siyang tax. Pero pag nagtrabaho ka sa day job, that 10,000 would probably be 2 pays or just additional 2,000 more for a monthly pay. So parang yun yung nag-apply ako sa dalawang company, hindi ko na lang i-mention. Pero yun yung concern nila. And then I had a friend who actually worked in a spa in Boracay. And then nag-decide, may pinsan siya from Dubai na nandun sa Dubai, nag-visit visa, nagtrabaho, and then nag-settle doon. So she said, oh, you wanna change your job or something. Nag-meet kami, nag-apply ako ng passport, nag-apply ako ng kumbaga, anong tawag doon? Documents na kailangan ko for Dubai visa. So these are the main things na kailangan nyo po pag nag-apply kayo ng visa sa Dubai. So basically, you need your passport, your birth certificate, national clearance from the police, NBI clearance pa ang tawag yon. This is back in 2011, okay, or 2010 probably, because I left in 2011. So, I had no idea what Dubai is or was by then. And hindi ko alam kung anong mangyayari. Basta ang gusto ko lang makaalis sa call center nung time na yon. Gusto ko lang a change of environment. And one thing about me, back on that, in those days, Facebook pa ata yun dati, nakikita ko yung mga classmate ko from university na nagpupunta na ng ibang country, ibang bansa, outfit, get up galore, ganon. So parang hindi naman ako envious or jealous type of person. But I always tell myself, someday, I'd like to be like that person na nakapunta sa ibang bansa, yung naka-experience yung life overseas and all. So that was my dream. I just wanted to see the world. I just wanted to travel. That's step 1. So, nung sinabi ng friend ko, punta tayong Dubai, I didn't even know where Dubai is. I don't know what Dubai is. And then, nag-ask ako ng permission sa mother ko na, Mom, I wanna go Dubai. Tapos sabi niya, oh, it's a Muslim country. If you do something wrong there by any chance, not that I'm a bad person, but by any chance, bibitayin ako. Sabi ko, hindi naman ganun yun. Sabi niya, kasi si ganito, si floor contemplation. Sabi ko, Ma'am, floor contemplation is a different story. And then, ganun. So, kinausap nung lolo ko at saka ng auntie ko yung mama ko. Kasi at that time, my dad passed away. Parang 2 years lang. Tapos gusto kong umalis. But then, my mom was convinced that I wanted to go to Dubai. So, nag-apply ako ng visa. May agency na binayaran kami. Nag-apply ako ng visa and all. At nakarating ako ng Dubai. But guys, wala akong masyadong research na ginawa. Because I was very young then, 24, and then it was my first time to ride on a plane, and the very first time that I'm riding a plane will be overseas. So, wala talaga akong experience, and that's one thing that I should have known better back then. So, yun pala, ito pala, na-realize ko na lang later on as I was in Dubai. Pag gusto mong mag-abroad, basically, when you apply for a tourist visa ang dapat ang in-apply ko nun. But technically, it is not the way how it should be done. But this is what we did anyway. Kasi there are two things. Pag tourist visa ka, you have to comply for the requirements na kailangan i-satisfy mo that you're actually going to become a tourist in the country, and you're going to able to sustain your stay from a place where you're going to stay, and then you're just going to actually stay and not involve yourself in any kinds or types of job. So that's what the tourist visa is for. Unfortunately, dahil naman kailangan mo mag-apply ng employment visa, but you have to go through an agency back in the Philippines para maghanap sila ng employer na willing mag-sponsor sa'yo ng employment visa para maka-alis ka, which is the standard process. Kaso ba, guys, minsan kasi ang agency, it's either naloloko ka. That's one thing. Second is, pag nag-agency ka, guys, mostly it's domestic labor. So, maging nanny, maging helper, maging construction worker, or cleaner. So, and then, utang pa lahat nung, parang bale, wala kang babayaran, pero, doon pagdating mo sa Dubai, ma-employer ka, tapos, yung sahod mo, kinakaltasan. Which probably is a good thing, but for people like me who doesn't do those kind of work kasi nag-o-office and stuff, hindi talaga siya applicable. So, ang ginagawa ng karamihan, kagaya ko, is nag-a-apply ng tourist visa, and we have to satisfy nga meron kaming international bank account, meron kaming cash na dala, meron kaming people to stay, and prove na may relative kami doon. So, hindi ko na alam, pero yung agency, parang ginawa na lang namin ng storya na sabi ko, sister-in-law ko siya or something, and then may story na nakakatawa yun, guys, kasi hindi ko siya ka-affiliado, and she's from Manila and I'm from Cebu at that time. At nakakatawa siya kasi ang sponsor ng visa ko, sa tourist visa ko. Tapos may address ako sa kanya, may phone number, kasi yun yung question sa immigration ng Dubai. Hindi there's no issue in Dubai, but back in the Philippines, because of the immigration rules, tatanungin ka talaga. So, sabi niya, babalik pa ba ako? Sabi ko, of course. So, pinakita ko yung clearance ng company ko kasi hindi ako cleared. Bali, nag-resign lang ako, guys. Hindi ako nagpa-clear. So, hindi ko nakatanggap ako ng last sahod, pero hindi ko natanggap yung yung last pay. Kasi, nakalagay talaga lang sa career is not cleared is not cleared with the company, but is working with the company from this and this kind of position, and not cleared from the company, and this document represents only for whatever purpose it may serve her. Parang ganon. Tapos sinabi nung pumunta ako sa airport, pinakita ko yon. Tapos sinabi niya, may pera ka ba? So may pera ko that time, $1,000 US dollars. Tapos, kasunod ka, ano mo to? So, sabi ko, she's my sister-in-law, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then she said, you're not related to her or something. Kasi, usually, pag nag-sponsor ka ng visa sa Dubai, kailangan, kailangan relative ka, immediate family or relative. Pero, ang layo na kasi ng sister-in-law. Pero, hindi kasi kami magka-apelido. So, but, I failed on that, but probably because I had an international ATM, $1,000 on my pocket, and a clearance from the company that I'm still working. Pero parang certificate of employment lang yon. Pero hindi ako cleared from anything kasi hindi nga talaga ako nagpa-clear. Nag-resign lang ako. So, after interrogation for about 20 minutes, inaantay na ako ng Cathay Pacific employee kasi boarding na. Kasi yung nagkataon din rin, guys, siguro it's a big help. May uncle ako na engineer sa airport. Nagtatrabaho siya sa engineer sa airport. At yung Cathay Pacific, parang at that time, may issue sila. Hindi ko na alam kung ano yon. So, parang ginaid ako ng uncle ko, nakapasok siya sa loob hanggang immigration. Tapos nakatayo yung immigration, hawak-hawak niya ang hand carry luggage ko. Tapos inaantay nila ako. Tapos wala nang sigurong nagawa yung customs kasi andun sila, hindi naman sila makakakurakot sa akin ng pera kasi may mga experience ako ng mga friends na talagang hiningan sila ng pera under the table. And I'm not saying everyone is doing this. This is back in 2011. And I'm not saying, I know for a fact that there is such thing because naging big issue din yun sa news and all na mayroon under the table money. But unfortunately, they can't do that to me kasi nag-aabang yung taga Cathay Pacific na flight attendant tsaka yung uncle ko na nag-work sa airport. But pinakita ko sa kanya yung visa ko, which is tourist. And then, pinakita ko din yung pera ko, ATM ko, at then certificate of employment. So, yun lang talaga ang pinakita ko para makaalis ako. So, I went to Dubai. When I was there, moving forward, naghanap ako ng work. So, what happens is when you're on a tourist visa, syempre maghahanap ka ng work. You're technically not a tourist, guys. But yun lang yung visa mo kasi yun yung pinaka-easiest way na pwede kang pumasok sa Dubai. And most people do that until now. Kasi walang employer na mag-o-office ka, mag-sponsor at directly kukunin ka sa Pilipinas, magsasagot ng wala. Very rare. Kung meron man, it's through agency and it's through domestic labor. So, yun talaga ang ginagawa ng karamihan. So, when I reached there, I was able to get a job in an oil and gas manufacturing company. Nung una, hinire nila ako as a receptionist. But on the day that I was hired, instead of yung reception papasok para sa procurement and logistics role, para isang person na lang ang i-train, yung receptionist pinastay siya as receptionist, tas ako pinapasok. Pero yung visa ko sa employment is receptionist. So, when I got the offer employment, once you have the holiday tourist visa, pagdating niyo po sa Dubai, maghahanap po kayo ng trabaho. Hindi kayo pwedeng mag-exit or anything until may hawak kayong offer letter. Yun ang guarantee niyo na may mag-visa sa inyo. So, once po na nag-visa po may offer letter kayo, sasabihin po ng company whether mag-exit kayo or mag-airport to airport or stay lang sa the country kasi additional bayad yon. So, yung option number 1 is vivisahan nila kayo pag may offer letter na kayo, but you have to exit the country. So, the easiest way to do that is to either go to 3 places. First is Iran, Oman, I think Iran and Oman lang, sorry. Tapos, yung time na yun, hindi pa masyadong sikat ang Oman, Iran. So, after 3-4 days, nag-offer letter na ako, pina-exit na ako sa ibang bansa. Nag-exit ako from Dubai. It's a domestic flight, international to sa airport ng Dubai, papuntang Kish, Iran. Kish, Iran is an island na bago makarating ng mainland ng Iran. And then, parang yun na yung nakagaluan nila kasi they don't need a visa to get to Kish. But what Kish does is that everyone who comes from Dubai will take a hotel and will stay in Kish for a couple of days, sometimes a month. And I'll explain that. So, yung case ko is nag-exit ako. Pag-exit ko sa Dubai, na may nilagay na stamp sa passport ko. Exit stamp. And that stamp, ipapascan ko within sa Dubai. Tapos isi-send ko sa company ko. Sa company na nag-hire sa akin sa Dubai. Once I reach Kish Island, nag-book ako ng hotel, na doon ako magsistay. But it's not a very grandiose hotel. Kumbaga, simpleng hotel lang, parang inn. Tapos, doon mag-aantay ka kung kailan sila tatawag sa'yo, kailan sila magme-message na, oh, your visa is ready. Kasi everything is electronic. So, I stay there for 3 days, 2 nights, at babalik na ako. But I'd like to set your expectation, guys. It's a very humbling experience, but at the same time, minsan maaantig yung puso mo because there would be some people na naubos na yung visa from previous tourist visa, tapos hanggang 1 month wala pa silang visa from employer. Kasi minsan pag yung nakuha mong trabaho is in retail industry, ang ano nila is kailangan may quota sila na hindi ko alam kung ano exactly, but then they can sponsor like few people or something, that it takes time, sometimes a month, 2 or 3 months. And imagine you're staying in a hotel, mura lang naman yung hotel, guys. It's like $30 30 dirhams in a day. Pero in a month or 2 or 3 months, minsan nakakaawa din sila. So, ang ginagawa doon ng ibang Pilipino, nagnenegosyo, minsan may mga bad things na minsan kumakapit na lang sa patalim. Alam mo yung ganon. So, sa case ko naman, naging maswerte lang ako kasi yung company na pinagtrabahuan ko, ang HR nila, nag-refer sa akin doon is schoolmate ko sa university. So, si Heidi. And then, wait lang, inom lang ako. So, yun yung, siya yung follow-up ng follow-up dun sa parang, meron kaming isang Arabic person na parang siya yung nagtatrabaho dun sa mga visa and all for all employees. So, pinupush niya. Hanggang sa 3 days and 2 nights, nakuha ko yung visa ko. And then, from that very moment, copy lang, guys, as in copy lang sa email, bumalik na ako ng Kish Airport, pauwing Dubai. And then, it's also very funny kasi meron ako mga kasama na nakuha na din nilang visa. Parang, oh, congrats! Parang kaming nasa preso, guys, na nakuha na, oh, you got your visa or something. Tapos, oh, sabay tayong mag-flight. And then, yung iba naiiwan, maawa ka. Kasi na-feel ko din yun, ng first, second day, may una nang umalis. Tapos ako natatakot ako nung, sana makuha na yung visa ko and all. Tapos sabi ni Heidi, wait ka lang, don't worry, inaayos, ganyan. And which is very good kasi, 3 days and 2 nights lang ako nagstay doon. Lumabas ako, guys. Yes, kasi doon paglabas mo kailangan naka-abaya ka, kailangan yung damit mo ganito, very strict. It's a very Sharia law na parang kailangan naka-long sleeve ka and your dress shouldn't be anywhere above your bewang, so should be below, and then dapat naka-abaya ka pag nasa likod. So yung ibang mga Pilipino doon, siguro para aliw-aliwin yung sarili nila, yun, lalabas, kakain, ganyan. Basta, wag ka lang gagawa ng something to be, parang, ayun. Basta, wag kang gagawa ng something na parang against the law. Kailangan fully covered ka din. So, yun. Bumalik na kami, nung nakuha ko na yung visa ko, bumalik na kami pa Dubai, and then nag-work ako the next day. But it's just a 30-minute flight. So that's one option na mag-e-exit ka. So yung exit ka talaga, tapos mag-stay ka ng 3 days 2 nights. The second form of exit, which hindi ko na-experience but na-experience ng iba, is A to A, ang tawag namin doon. Kumbaga, aalis ka from Dubai airport, and then paglabas mo, pero bit-bit mo na yung visa mo para lang i-prove mo sa company, sa immigration na nag-exit ka. Tapos, after pagkadating mo kung saan ka man nag-exit sa Kish or sa other country, to-turn ka rin din, magre-return flight ka pabalik. So, it's not much of a hassle. But not companies do that kasi parang may additional pay yan. So, para lang i-prove na nag-exit ka nga talaga at dala-dala mo na yung visa mo. So, balik ka agad. That's the second option. The third option, which is very rare, big companies do this, pero kumbaga, hindi mo na kailangang mag-exit. Lalabas yung visa mo, mag-a-add sila ng additional payment sa Ministry of Labor or whatever. Tapos, pag lumabas na yung visa mo, kukunin nila yung passport mo. Tapos, isa-stampan lang nila na, nag-change ka na ng visa, but that's additional payment. Most companies, para hindi mag-antay, especially if need nila agad yung employee, so yun, gaganon sila. But that's additional payment. But most companies don't do that kasi nga additional payment. So, meron yung ex ko dati, yun ang ginawa niya. Tapos pinayaran lang ng additional ng company. Which is very convenient kasi guys, pag nag-exit kayo, hindi yun gastos ng employer nyo. Gastos nyo yun. From plane ticket, hotel stay, food, everything, gastos nyo. So that's still additional money. So imagine kung gaano ka katagal doon, yun din magbe-base yung kain mo, yung gastos mo on a daily basis. Tapos yung ticket mo, ganon. So yun yung option. But basically guys, when you come to Dubai, meron kasi yung iba, ang tagal na makakita ng trabaho or minsan binabarat yung offer nila dahil on a tourist visa sila. Inaabuso ng mga employer. So, dapat ready ka rin, kailangan mo makipaghagol kasi una risk yon yung pagpunta mo doon. Pangalawa, kailangan ready kang absorb lahat ng stress kasi it's a mixed emotion. Excited ka, at the same time worried ka, at the same time nasi-stress ka kasi kailangan mo ng pera. Tumatakbo ang araw na need mo yung pera, tumatakbo yung araw na may bills ka kasi unless may kakilala ka na ililibre ka sa bahay mo. In my case, hindi po libre yung bahay ko. Hinanapan ako ng classmate ko din, ibang classmate, ng bahay na masistayhan. Nagbabayad ako. Tapos, nung mga unang araw ko, binibigyan niya ako ng food kasi wala pa akong gamit. Tapos, paunti-unti, bumibili ako sa sarili ko. So, good thing hindi ako masyadong jobless for long. Nakapagtrabaho agad ako, susumahod agad ako. And in Dubai, sahod is monthly and wala siyang tax, which is very good. Kasi minsan masakit sa bulsa yung tax. Lalo na sa Pilipinas, ang laki ng tax sa Pilipinas, hindi mo naman nakikita kung saan napupunta. So, yun. But there are times na swerte ka kasi maganda yung work mo. Minsan, mamalasin ka din kasi hindi. Pero always guys, when you start on something somewhere overseas, wag mo talagang i-expect na mag-start ka big. Kasi start from scratch ka talaga. So minsan, hindi mo makukuha yung trabaho na kung ano man yung degree na nakuha mo sa Pilipinas. Kasi minsan may mga nakikasama ako, teacher sa Pilipinas, teacher sa international school, pagdating sa Dubai, kahera, sales lady, or minsan, alam mo yung server, or waitress, or waitresses, para mga ganon. So, yun, hindi ka lang mapili sa work, magkaka-work ka guys. The only difference is because hindi siya labor hire, may freedom ka. Kasi usually guys, pag labor hire, construction and all, minsan may accommodation. But depende din sa company. It's a good accommodation, good. Pag minsan accommodation cannot be really good, especially sa mga people ng construction working and stuff. It's not very humane, kumbaga. It's a different story, but I haven't experienced it. I've just read it, and I've seen a few people, lalo na yung mga workers sa warehouse namin. But anyway, moving forward, so nag-umpisa ako as instead of receptionist, pinastart ako ng procurement and logistics. I know nothing about it. I have no experience on anything kasi galing ako sa call center. But because the company was willing to train me to become procurement and logistics officer, so yun ang tinrabaho ko. And I hated my boss and I hated all the bosses in the company except for that one British guy na Mr. Roy Giddings. I really like him. He is married to a Filipina at ang bait-bait nilang mag-asawa. So, any event sa bahay nila, ini-invite nila kami. Tsaka maraming Pilipino sa company, guys. So, marami ding mga pana, mga ganon. So, iba't ibang nationality. So, I learned a lot from procurement and logistics. But favorite kong naging job yung logistics kasi nag-i-imports ako, nag-i-export, pina-process ko yung documents from Dubai Chambers, yung mga papeles sa sea freight, air freight, kung anything. And I really learned a lot from that kind of job, which until this day, I will always, even if I hated that company for how how they treated probably and thought of us Filipinos. But it was my basically the battleground that I fought so hard and learned a lot of things to keep my job, but I didn't want to renew after 3 years. I hated my boss, guys. Kung alam nyo lang, first time ako makahanap ng boss, pag tatawag sa'yo ng gabi, tapos pag hindi ka nakasagot the next day, bakit ka hindi ka sumagot kagabi? It's not parang ano siya, parang gusto niya, parang typical foreign person na pana yun ha. Sorry, hindi sabihin ko na lang na pana. Pero ano siya, gusto niya you want to bow down to him or something. Tapos ayoko talaga sa kanya. And then I told myself that someday I'll use this knowledge that they gave me para makahanap ako ng better job. And yun, ginamit ko yun, guys. Parang tiniis ko yung 3 years kasi yung visa ko nun. So, tiniis ko yun. Tapos, on the last few months ng visa ko, naghanap ako ng iba. And that's when I got an offer from a big company, which is Samsung. Dun sa Samsung, dun ko, parang yun yung pinaka-best na experience ko. Though merong stress sa KPI, merong mga politics sa office, kasi hindi mo naman maiiwasan yun, guys. Especially you come from different countries, different culture, and all. Meron talagang mga inggitera, may mga visit or whatever. But as long as you know that, alam mo yung trabaho mo, ginagawa mo yung trabaho mo, you meet your deadlines, okay, good. And the company paid really well, a lot of good benefits. Siyempre, yun yung job na parang naging dream ko. And then, when I stay there, it was for me the best job that I have had so far. But it was only the 3rd job that I have since I left the Philippines. So parang sinabi ko nga, this is the best job. Like, I have the financial freedom. I have the job that I don't have to drag myself into coming to the office because I really enjoyed it. It's pure logistics, customer service na yung everyday na ginagawa ko, shipments, exporting shipments to different countries, working on a lot of documents and paperwork to clear it, yung parang mga ganon. It's not, every day is never the same, parang ganon. So I enjoyed it and the benefits was good. And then, pay was really good. And then I started traveling, I started spending on material things and stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And then, later on, crisis hit Dubai. Kumbaga, isa-isang nagtanggalan and all. Fortunately, hindi naman ako nasali sa ganun. Yung may mga kasama lang ako, usually in sales, na nawawala ng work kasi nga parang crisis. So, because the fact that everything in Dubai is not permanent, everything is temporary. As long as you have a company that actually supports your employment visa, you can stay in the company. But if they decide to cancel your visa because hindi na pwede ka nang ayaw na nilang ikaw i-employ, kailangan mong either maghanap ng new employer para mag-sponsor sa'yo ng employment visa, and you'll have to go through the same process, mag-exit, mag-antay ng visa and all, or you'll have to leave the country and go somewhere else. Yun lang. Kasi walang option at that time for permanent residency ang lahat ng mga expat, kagaya namin. So, I was starting to think of myself na, where am I gonna be after pag nag-reach ako ng certain age? Because to be honest, guys, in Dubai, I only realized this when I moved here in Sydney, na Dubai is a very great place, and thanks to the rulers of Dubai, I really admire them. However, you cannot avoid stereotyping and racism. Kasi para sa akin, nung nandun ako, it really didn't matter. But when I moved here in Sydney, the culture is a bit different. Here in Sydney, you cannot tell a job application, sinasabi nila na dun sa Dubai, there's a difference. In Dubai, when there's a job application, or not a job application, it's a job vacancy, they would say, Oh, for Pakistani and Indian nationals only. For single ladies only. For Filipino nationals only. For unmarried whatever. Or for those who hold a father visa or a husband visa. So parang because there are advantages. So when they say Pakistani or Indian national, that's probably because most of the people working in that company are Pakistani and Indian nationals. For those who say Filipino only, that's probably because there's more Filipino there, or they think that it's a mixed culture there and they think that Filipinos work better than anyone else. Sometimes they could even say Muslims only, or Arabic speakers only, which is when I moved here, I kind of realized it's actually stereotyping or racism, because back in Dubai, they take pride on being a multinational company, which means they can employ different kind nationalities, people from different walks of life, different backgrounds. But actually, when they hire someone, they specify nationalities, which is not good. But yun, so yun yung isa dun sa mga parang yun lang ang na-realize ko na parang something bad. But anyway, as you age also in Dubai, this is I'm already tackling the advantage and disadvantages. So basically, you start being working on the very low level, and then senior level, and then this opportunities given the time and given your work experience and all. If you find the job, the best job, you get good benefits. But unfortunately, sometimes naghahabol ng days, hindi ka makahanap agad ng work, so kakagat ka na lang sa kung anong available. So sometimes even if you have a degree back in the Philippines, then in Dubai, dahil nahirapan ka na makahanap ng degree para sa work, kung ano man yung dapat mong work based on your degree. Pagdating sa Dubai, minsan hindi ka na mamimili. That's another thing. Tapos, minsan doon yun nga yung stereotyping, tapos racism na they specify who they want to hire. So parang wala kang, it's not, there's no opportunity for you unless they say that we want, unless they don't specify. But most of the time they do, like they specify. Another advantage is, there are big and small companies. Small companies doesn't give as much as kumbaga benefits, but multinational companies or international corporate companies, kagaya ng pinagtrabahuan ko yung second time, it's actually a multinational company. So maraming benefits, maraming opportunities, maraming kumbaga hindi mo i-worry yung self mo, because politics will be there but wouldn't be as bad as if you are in a company owned by a specific nationality, kasi they will have preference on someone based on their nationality. So that's it. So yun. And then when the crisis struck, going back, kasi babalik tayo dun sa pinag-usapan natin, when the crisis went on in Dubai, I decided and I started asking myself, if I want to stay, or I want to move somewhere else. So if I have to stay, I will be whatever I am already at that position. Na okay, I'm doing well, I have a good job, I am financially stable and all. But then if by any chance tumanda ako or mag-asawa ako, I wouldn't have an opportunity to stay permanently in the country, and I eventually have to go back home. At hindi ako ma-hire ng... I had this feeling that I wouldn't be able to work somewhere else in the Philippines pag naka-work na ako sa Dubai. Kasi nga, based on that experience na I've already worked overseas, and they might think that the salary wouldn't be enough because I'm already earning this much in Dubai. So I had to start thinking about myself, where I want to stay and where I can stay permanently. And that's when Australia came in. Actually, there's a lot of options. Australia, Canada, USA, UK. If I had a chance back then na pag-aralan kung ano man yun. Kasi one thing that I lack at that very stage of my life is research. Kumbaga, lack of research. puro na lang ako Instagram, puro na lang ako Facebook, guys. So, hindi ko naisip na mag-research. So, but having lived in Dubai, I was able to travel to Europe, and I really love European countries. I haven't traveled much around Asia because I thought that anyway, I'm Asian. I have a Filipino passport. It's easy for me to access Asia, but Asia wouldn't be a destination for me if I want to settle in. Kasi nga gusto ko ma-experience yung snow. Gusto ko ma-experience mag-boots, mag-fur. Parang yun ang, it's so childish as you think, but yun yung naisip ko at that time. So, nag-decide ako maghanap. But the easiest way for me is because I have relatives here in Australia. And iniisip ko na, okay, so I want to try Australia. So I've tried a few times coming to Australia, and this is another struggle for me. Kasi basically nag-start akong mag-apply sa agency na pagmamayari ng uncle ko. So I wanted to come here on a work visa, which is not at that time possible for the kind of position that I am in. So basically, nagpa-assess ako, and I wanted to do a supply chain management or manager, something. Tapos, logistics or something, import-export coordinator. Tapos yun pala, meron kasi silang list of skills, hindi siya kasali doon. So kung gusto ko ng managerial role, kailangan merong number of years na nagtrabaho ako sa ganong field. So parang nung unang pa-assess ko, nagpa-assess ako, 5 years ang kailangan. Tapos hindi ako umabot ng 5 years, so nag-wait ako ng 5 years. Until umabot ako ng 8 years sa Dubai. Na-realize ko, do I still want to go there? Then, I was like, laban o bawi or whatever. Kasi iniisip ko, I don't want to start from scratch. But then, iniisip ko din, but this is permanent opportunity. So, I was in the midst of wanting to move to Australia, but at the same time, holding on to the job that I already have. Because it was my job was my life back then. It pays the bills. It brings me to another country. It buys me the stuff that I want. That's what how I described my job back then. It was my life. So, na-realize ko that no, I'm gonna push for it because everything that I have now, material things, is only temporary. Because later on, pag nawala na yon lahat, kahit may savings ka pa, eventually you'll have to go back to the Philippines. And what am I gonna do in the Philippines? I'm not even used to, hindi naman ako nag-i-inapte, pero hindi ako used to sa traffic na, hindi ako used to sa parang buhay doon. Kasi dati sa Philippines, nagko-commute ako and all. Tapos pag umuwi ako, guys, I'm not being maarte or hindi talaga, kahit yung tubig, guys, yung mineral water sa grocery, hindi sa mga refilling station kasi sumasakit ang tiyan ko, hindi na ako nasanay sa buhay sa Pilipinas. Sanay na ako sa Dubai na parang kahit mainit sa Dubai, fully air-conditioned lahat. Sa Pilipinas, uwi ka, mainit, okay, may electric fan, or yung parang nasanay na ako sa lifestyle sa Dubai. And pag umuwi ako, laging comment ng nanay ko or ng mama ko, ng kapatid ko, ang arte mo, parang ganon. So, I'm not being, bitch or something. Pero parang sinabi ko talaga sa sarili ko, hindi na ako sanay sa kung gaano kagulo yung buhay sa Pilipinas. I felt safer when I was in Dubai because you can wear your jewelry, you can use your phone in public, you can count your money. You will not even experience someone trying to steal something from you. That's how peaceful Dubai is. Tapos pag uwi mo sa Pilipinas, masyashock ka. You have to be very cautious of anything. You have to remove all your jewelries. You have to make sure you don't use your phone in public, kahit only inside the mall or something. So parang ganon. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna try applying again in Australia. Unfortunately, the second time I applied was back in 2016. Ito ang sabi ng agency. The rules have changed. Kasi pala sa Australia, every year, the rule changes. So, kung ano yung mga skilled na list ng trabaho na needed nila ngayon, the next year, pwedeng nandun pa siya, pwedeng wala na siya. Yung qualifications, either mag-i-increase yung year or not. So in my case, I wanted to become into supply chain manager or something. But from 5 years experience, I had to have at least 10 years experience. Guys, 5 years, 7 years na ako. Mag-aantay na naman ako ng 3 years. Paano na ako nun? 30 years old plus na ako nun. So, marami. So, tinanong ko yung agency. So, what is the best way for me to get into Australia and just start from there? And then she said, and this is what I was like, you have to apply on a student visa. And I was like, oh. At the back of my mind, iniisip ko, kasi sabi niya, yung kung gusto ko ng skilled work, kailangan kong mag-work ng something na nasa skilled list. Next one is accounting. So ngayon sabi ko, naku Diyos ko, accounting pa talaga. Parang debit, credit lang ang alam ko. Yung parang, hindi ako mahilig sa accounting, guys. But at the back of my mind, okay, it's another challenge. But then later on, nag-apply ako sa university. Nag-apply ako sa isang specific university sa South Australia. Tapos, nabi ng agency, hindi pwedeng kumuha ng accounting. Kasi first, we have to satisfy, again, just like any other country, when you apply for a specific visa, you need to satisfy why you're applying for that visa. So in that case, if I want to apply and study bachelor's in accounting, wala naman akong accounting background. I graduated business administration, but that's totally different because the job that I was in is also business administration. Supply chain can be underneath business administration, but accounting is a different field. Okay? So sabi niya, hindi pwede. So, parang ibang agent na yun, guys. Nagpa-opinion ako ba? Nagpa-assess din ako. Tapos sabi ko, anong pwede? Sabi niya, mag-masters ka in business kasi yun yung bachelor's degree mo at yun yung aligned ng trabaho mo sa Dubai. Kasi pala guys, kung bachelor's ka na sa Pilipinas, hindi ka pwedeng mag-apply ng any other bachelor's kung ang work experience mo prior is based on your bachelor's degree. So for example, bachelor's in business ako at nag-supply chain ako sa yung trabaho ko, which is good. But then I cannot apply for a bachelor's in accounting kasi paano namin isasatisfy sa immigration na bakit ako accounting, yung work ko naman ngayon is supply chain, which is under business administration, part of business management. So, parang iisipin nila na you're here just to get a permanent residency. That's why you're applying for, unless guys, if you did a bachelor's degree, hindi mo siya natapos, tapos yung current job mo into accounting or whatever, pwede ako mag-bachelor's degree. But that is not the case. Meron akong kasamahan dati, hindi niya natapos yung bachelor's degree niya. So, pinagkuha siya ng mekaniko dito. Which is okay kasi wala naman siya natapos na bachelor's degree. Tapos, lang siya ng mechanics. So, para makakuha siya ng permanent residency. So, in my case, because I already have a bachelor's degree and I completed it, and the prior experience of work that I am into in Dubai is into supply chain, kaya kailangan kong mag-master's degree. I was in the position na iniisip ko, magstay na lang ako ng Dubai, nakakapagod mag-master. But at the same time, I was thinking, it's so exciting. I'm gonna be doing my masters in Australia. Pero sa totoo lang guys, hindi ko pa naisip nung time na yun kung gaano siya kamahal. At iniisip ko lang, yung kapatid ko sa Pilipinas, masters na, PhD. Yung isa kong kapatid, nagsa-start na din. So, siguro it's a nice thing. Parang, it's just a decoration of your educational background. Yun lang naisip ko at that time. So, wala naman akong choice. I wanted to pursue that dream of moving to Australia because my goal was to become permanent in that country because there's an opportunity to become permanent. It's just that it's kind of a long process. So, nag-decide ako na, okay, I will go for master's degree. And then guys, hindi pa rin talaga ako nag-research, hindi pa natuto. So, I check on the cheapest university, yun lang ang ni-research ko, but I didn't even ask or further expand. I just followed what the agent had to tell me. I had to prepare a genuine temporary entry explanation, an application to the university, dalawa yon, and then I have to show finances na kailangan kong i-support yung isang semester or half a year or 1 year, tapos yung yung pera, yung ano yung source ng income ko, yung ano yung mga employments ko in the past, lahat, parang i-support ko nga bakit ako magba-masters, bakit ko pinili ang Australia, how is this taking this master's degree relevant to my current work experience, and why, bakit siya relevant at bakit mo siya kukunin, bakit dito sa Australia, parang ganun. Tapos with the time difference in Dubai, meron pang interview yun. Pero ginawa ko guys, I did, I think, if at that time, napunta ako sa agency, libre siya guys, for everyone, lahat ng mga agency na magpa-process ng visa, may mga iba na hindi affiliated ng university, may bayad sila. But then, universities at that time have affiliate or have nominated agencies who will actually process the visa for the students applying for the university. And I will explain that because ito yun. Yung agency na unang in-applyan ko is owned by my uncle. Pero, ang yun lang kasi nila is specializing in tourist visa, specializing in skilled visa. So, nung nag-apply ako sa university, nagsabi ang university sa akin na, no, you can't use your own agency. We have specific agents based on wherever you are from. You just contact them. So, in-explain niya sa akin kasi, yung palang mag-a-apply ka ng international student dito, kailangan i-satisfy mo lahat ng documents. And then, this particular agency are trained on how to do these kind of things to satisfy and prove that they're actually genuine students when they come here in Australia. Because, pag sa tingin nila genuine and all, na-submit na yung papers and all, sinasala nila lahat. At pagdating sa immigration, nakitaan sila ng isang butas lang na pineke, or hindi ko sinabing pepekein nila, but then they are gauged to prove, give a strong paperwork and documentation that the student is genuine. Kumbaga, kasi pag dumating sa immigration yan, it's a win or loss. So, pag na-prove mo, good, win. Babayaran ng university ang professional fees ng agency. Wala kang babayaran. Ang babayaran mo lang is yung semester fees. And then, i-prove mo lang na may bank account ka and supporting documents. But then, pagdating sa immigration, yung agency, pag hindi nila masyadong alam, pasikot-sikot na kung anumang documents na kailangang i-prove. Especially in my case, I'm a returning student, not a continuing, hindi returning student. Kumbaga, nagtrabaho na ako, bakit ko i-prove na magma-masters ako? Bakit kailangan kong mag-masters? Gets niyo yung point? So, pagdating sa immigration at nalaman nila na, oh, this is like dodgy. Parang magsu-student to, but at the same time maghahanap ng permanent skill or whatever na job para maging permanent residency. Sorry, temporary skill or para maging permanent residency. So, pag na-deny ng immigration, magkaka-black point yung black point, hindi ko alam, yung university. At then, pag dumami yon, mapapasara sila. So, that was the explanation. At sinabi ko din yun sa uncle ko kasi, una ko kasing kinontak yung sila kasi yun yung kakilala ko, yung uncle ko nga. So, unfortunately, I had to say to my uncle, I have to go to that other agency kasi nga, yun yung requirement ng university. Wala akong magagawa. So, nag-back out ako dun sa uncle ko. And then okay naman, hindi naman siya nagalit. So, yun, yung agency ang nag-process ng papers ko. But be very also vigilant kasi hindi ako nag-research. Napunta ako sa, meron akong in-applyan. Kaso, yung unang, hindi sila masyadong nag-reply agad. Ang unang nag-reply is an immigration office. Parang immigration, ano bang tawag doon? Kumbaga, sila specific for people in UAE. So, meron akong nakitang mga instances na parang hindi siya masyadong detailed to me, which later on I realized na yung 47,500 ko na tuition fee for 2 years for my MBA, pag pumunta ako sa ibang immigration, lalo na yung mga immigration ng Pinoy, pwede pa lang nilang applyan ng discount or scholarship or whatever. Nalaman ko lang yun nung dumating ako dito. So, one thing I would advise everyone who wish to undergo in that path na maging student, mag-research po kayo na mag-research. Kasi ako, research ng kaunti. Tapos kung ano lang yung nalaman ko, yun din lang ang gagawin ko. But unlike na may nalaman ka, tapos may nakausap ka, may mga group forums on Facebook na parang mga immigration agents na nagmaman nung Facebook account nila. Tapos i-guide ka nila. Sasabihin nila na ito yung pwede mong gawin, ito yung ganyan-ganyan. So, yun. Fortunately, I got the visa. I was able to move here in 2018. There are restrictions on how you will work based on your visa. So as a student, you are only allowed for 20 hours a week to 20 hours a fortnight if classes are on, but you can work unlimitedly if classes are off. Parang kumbaga kung bakasyon nyo. So I studied in an international business school. So trimester kami. So 6 weeks, I think not 6 weeks, 12 weeks every trimester, and then 2 weeks na bakasyon. So dun lang sa 2 weeks pwede kang mag-work unlimitedly. But let me go back to the requirements. So I had to prove that the degree that I'm taking, but how is it relevant to my current experience? Why are you gonna take it? And then you have to prove all your work experience, because to take a master's degree here in Australia, you have to have at least 2 years of work experience related to any field. Second is you have to provide financial support. Not financial support. Paano ba yun? Yung financial document to show that you're able to financially aid your stay as a student here in Australia and where this money is coming from. In my case, I have to show that I was employed in Samsung, the contract that I've had, the pay slip, my certificate of employment, and all the certificate of employments that I have had in my past employers. I also had a bank statement in Dubai at that time showing that I'm getting monthly salaries and transferring money to my bank in the Philippines. And technically, I had malaki yung pera, guys, kasi yung iba hiniram lang namin para ma-stay lang siya dun sa Philippine account ko. It was 1.4 million pesos. And then in my Dubai account, I had around 30,000 dirhams. Tapos, pinakita ko lahat ng statement ko from Dubai, lahat ng statement from Philippines, and then lahat na ng mga character references, genuine temporary entry, application to the university, English test. Yung sa English test, it would be different from those who are taking nursing courses. Because I have a Philippine passport holder and I studied in University of San Carlos, meron kasi nakalagay doon anong mga universities. Pag nandun yung university mo, in my case, University of San Carlos, i-request lang nila that my subject and my bachelor's degree was taught in English. So, yun, kung kinuha ko yung paper na yun, and then yung transcript of records ko. Pag dating dito, kukuha lang ako ng English exam, IELTS, dapat at least 6.5 on every module. So parang reading, writing, speaking, and listening. At that time, I got, I think, 8 on each module. So, I was able to pass. I took it at the University of Wollongong in Dubai. Doon ko siya kinuha. When it comes to studying the IELTS test and preparation, I only did YouTube. Yun lang talaga ang pinaka-research ko because I didn't want to pay additional money just to go to a review center. Because everything you can find in YouTube, guys. So, yun. And then, I was interviewed by the university. I think it was around 3-4 a.m. in Dubai time. But I think around midday here in Australia. So, until I finally passed, and then when everything was ready, submitted to immigration by the agent, it was a few days or a week later, they asked me to do a medical test. The medical test would consist of x-ray, urine, and if I'm not mistaken, blood sample. But they will also, a doctor will speak to you at the end of the medical test. They will ask you the countries that you've been to in the past 5 years. So nakalagay doon, okay, Dubai, Philippines on this date. Philippines, Dubai on this date. I've been to a few countries. Lahat. Kahit 5 days ka lang nagpunta doon sa country, basta nagpunta ka at nakatatak doon sa passport mo. So, sinabi ko, nagpunta ako ng ganitong country sa Europe, ganyan. Kasi, i-check nila if wala kang sakit na nakuha from any of that country or whatsoever. And then, drug test or i-check din nila yung if you don't have AIDS or kung anong mga sakit na transmittable. So, after that was the last part. And then, I waited, I think, 3 months. I got my student visa. And then, I got my student visa in October, probably. And then, I moved here in January from Dubai, straight to Dubai. Straight from Dubai, I went here. And then, January ako dumating, pero February nag-start yung school. So, pasensya na guys. It's probably gonna be a long video. But yeah, so, nag-move ako dito guys. So, yun yung mga process na ginawa ko. And, chasing my dreams. Yun nga ang purpose ko. Kung nung una, gusto ko lang umalis ng Pilipinas, ibang bansa. Nung nasa ibang bansa na ako, there was no permanent opportunity to stay there. So I decided to look for a country na may opportunity to stay permanently. And that's how I was able to get here in Australia. Maybe on a separate video, you can comment down below kung ano yung mga questions niyo about visa. But I would like to reiterate, I'm not an immigration agent or lawyer, and this information is based on my personal experience, but I would rather you research yourself and maybe talk to an immigration agent. Meron po akong i-refer progress study. You can contact them on Facebook. Hindi po ito sponsored but there is a Filipino there named Milan. She's from somewhere Mindanao. Marunong po siyang magbisaya kasi Bisaya po ako. So, you can contact them on Facebook. You can have yourself assessed. I haven't had them process the visa for me because I did it myself after the first agency na nag-process sa akin. Maybe on a separate video, I will share to you more details on what happened to that agency, bakit hindi na ako bumalik, and why I chose to progress the remaining visas that I have had and process it myself. And why? Well, there is an option based on what kind of visa. If you're a student, you can contact Progress Study on Facebook and ask them how you can, or ask them to assess you based on your experience, or if they ask you that you have to go become a student, they will tell you the requirements and they will guide you. However, later on, if there would be things na hindi pa malinaw sa inyo, I can make a separate video kasi nag-extend ako ng student visa ko for for just a few months. And then after my student visa, I applied for a graduate visa. And then after my graduate visa, currently I'm on a partner visa. I did that all to myself. But that's because I was organized and I did more research, and I didn't have the money to pay for an agent kasi yung first application lang ng university, yun lang ang babayaran ng university sa agency. Pag nag-extend ka, pag nag-process ka ng graduate visa, sa iyo na yon. Additional fees mo na yon sa agency. But because I didn't have that money was really tight back then. So, ang ginawa ko, ako lang ang nag-apply. I'm gonna share in a separate video how I did that and para magkaalam kayo. But this is based on my experience, based on my own research. But I'd like you to please check Progress Study in their in Facebook. They have a group, a Facebook group. You can ask your questions, and someone will contact you if you want someone to assess you, and will guide you for your visa processes. And any comments down below about this topic? Comment lang po kayo sa baba, and then I'll try as much as I can na i-answer po kayong lahat. But please understand, it's my first vlog. Hindi ko pa alam kung paano gawin, but I'll try my best to respond to everyone. And see you soon in my next vlog. Have a great one. Bye!